Long ago, before the great chief discovered how to count with his toes, the forest was a simple place. Joe's tribe lived in the mountains, where the rocks were sharp and perfect for flint. Down in the valley, the river tribe had the fluffiest mammoth furs you've ever felt. One day, Joe realized his toes were freezing, and the river tribe realized their spears couldn't cut butter. A deal was struck. Joe gave a sharp rock. The river tribe gave a warm fur. It was the first trade agreement, though they mostly just grunted and shook hands. For many moons, the mountain tribe was warm, and the valley tribe was well-fed. This is called comparative advantage. But to Joe, it was just not freezing to death. The forest was buzzing. New paths were cleared. More rocks were dug and more mammoths were, well, borrowed. But then, the fat chief of Joe's tribe started watching the paths. He saw thousands of furs coming into the cave, but only a few piles of flint going out. He didn't like the look of it. He sat on his stone throne and stroked his golden necklaces, feeling a strange itch in his brain. "Look at all these valley furs!" he shouted, spraying berry juice everywhere. "Every fur we buy is a fish we give away. If this keeps up, the river tribe will have all our fish, and we will just have a lot of blankets." He called it a trade deficit. Joe tried to explain that he liked being warm, but the chief wasn't listening. He convinced the tribe that the river tribe was stealing their fish by giving them such nice things. It was a classic trick, making the tribe fear the very thing that made their lives easier. To save the tribe, the fat chief came up with a brilliant, terrible idea. He ordered the hunters to build a massive wall of thorns across the mountain path. He told the river tribe, "If you want to bring a fur into our cave, you must pay us 3 silver fish at the gate." This was the first tariff. The chief told Joe this would make the tribe rich. But when Joe went to buy a new blanket, the price had gone from 1 fish to 4 fish. The river tribe had to raise their prices to pay the chief's thorngate fee. Suddenly, Joe wasn't so warm anymore. He had to spend all day fishing just to buy 1 itchy fur. The chief's cave was full of fish, but the rest of the tribe was hungry and cold. The Wall of Thorns was protecting the tribe from the danger of affordable clothing. The river tribe wasn't just going to sit there and eat dirt. Their chief was also fat and also grumpy. "Oh, they want to play with thorns?" he roared. "Fine! No more mountain flint in the valley." He put up his own wall. Now, if Joe wanted to trade his sharp rocks for the valley's sweet berries, he had to pay a spear tax. Trade ground to a halt. The paths grew over with weeds. The silence in the forest was deafening. Joe had piles of flint sitting in his cave, but he couldn't eat rocks. The river tribe had mountains of furs, but they couldn't hunt without Joe's flint. Both tribes were protecting their jobs, but everyone was becoming poorer, hungrier, and much more annoyed. The fat chief saw that the flint miners were losing their jobs because they couldn't export to the valley. Instead of taking down the thorns, he did something even crazier. He started taking fish from the berry gatherers and giving them to the flint miners for free. "See," the chief bragged, "I am supporting our local flint industry." He called these subsidies. But the berry gatherers were furious. They were working twice as hard and seeing half the food, all to support a flint mine that wasn't even selling anything. The economy of the cave was becoming a giant game of hide the fish. Money-er in this case, lunch was being moved from one pocket to another, but no new value was being created. The fire was getting smaller, even though the chief kept shouting that it was a bonfire. Something else started happening. Because Joe's tribe couldn't buy valley furs, a local guy named Lazy Larry started making mountain furs out of dried moss and old bat wings. They were terrible. They smelled like damp cave and fell apart in the rain. But since there was no competition, Larry didn't care. "Where else are you going to go?" He'd laugh. Without the pressure of the river tribe's high-quality furs, everyone in the mountain tribe started making bad tools and bad clothes. When you lock the world out, you lock yourself in with mediocrity. The tribe lost its edge literally. Their spears became dull, their weaving became sloppy, and the great tribe started looking like a bunch of amateurs in bat-wing coats. One day, a huge storm hit. The mountain tribe needed special vines from the valley to tie down their roofs. But because of the trade war, the vine trade had been dead for years. The vine growers in the valley had all moved on to growing sour grapes instead. Without those specific vines, the mountain grapes blew away. The entire supply chain was broken. It turned out that you couldn't just make everything yourself. The world was a giant puzzle, and the fat chief had thrown away half the pieces because he didn't like the color of the box. Joe sat in his roofless cave, shivering in his batwing coat, looking at his pile of useless flint. He realized that the river tribe wasn't his enemy. The thorns were the enemy. Finally, the two tribes met at the border, not with spears, but with empty stomachs. They realized that the chiefs had been getting fatter, while the hunters were getting thinner. They tore down the thorns. They burned the batwing coats in a celebratory fire. The elders' lesson was simple. Trade isn't about winning or losing, it's about doing what you're best at and letting others do the same. When the flint flows and the furs fly, everyone wins. Joe got his warm blanket back. The river tribe got their sharp spears. And the fat chiefs? They went back to arguing about who had the best cave paintings, which luckily didn't require a tariff.